You are now listening to the Vitalize podcast. Hey yo, what up, family? Welcome back to the Vitalize podcast. You are here with your friendly neighborhood host, Mr. Marcus Black, and I'm so incredibly excited to be with you today. Listen. Man, oh my, has it been a journey. Yo, shout out to y'all who've been celebrating with your boy on Instagram. Several of you already know we've been going up. And so we crossed over the 45 pounds lost mark, so the 45 pound milestone about a week ago this year. Yeah, 45 pounds down this year. That's incredible. Feels good. It feels good. But I got a little bit carried away in the gym, and your boy may or may not have went a little too hard. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to tell me to calm down a little bit. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Got to pace myself. So that sat me down. I hurt my foot badly, but it could have been a lot worse. Crisis averted. But yeah, man, thank y'all just for celebrating with me on Instagram. If you don't know what I'm talking about, tap in with me, man. Go follow your boy at mblackspeaks on Instagram and talk to me. I talk back. We can have a conversation, but I appreciate all the love and support, man. You guys have been incredible. Listen, you're in for an incredible treat today. This episode is all about one of my favorite subjects, and I'm sure it is your favorite subject. If it's not your favorite subject, it should be your favorite subject. And that's because the conversation we're having today is about, drum roll please. The conversation today is about you. We're talking about you today and your story specifically. And when you start thinking about your story and the mosaic that is your story and all the experiences you had in your life, some of those good, some of those bad, some of those ugly, some of those horrific, sometimes you feel like, just stuck. Anybody ever felt stuck before? Anybody ever felt stagnant before? Like you're a hamster on the wheel and you go and go and go and you're always tired, you're always drained, but you're going nowhere fast. You're not getting anywhere. And if you felt stuck in your story, we want to do some unpacking today. And what I want to show you is how to turn the page. It's time for you to turn the page. So that's just to whet your appetite for the episode today. Hopefully you guys are tapped in and ready. I got your minds ready. So just before I do that, I would be remiss if I didn't come to you and just announce something so big, so remarkable, so incredible, so splendiferous, so magnanimous. Magnanimous is a word, but that was the absolute wrong context. But you get what I'm going. You get where I'm going. You're picking up what I'm putting down. We did something huge. And I remember like it was all a dream. It was all a dream. It literally was all a dream. And then it became reality. And I hope that as I talk about this, you guys can see that your dreams can become a reality too. It just depends on you and the action steps you're willing to take when you get an inclination inside of you that you want to create and do something dope in the world. So I had this idea in my brain and I'm like, what would be really cool is if we took this incredible organization whom I am an ambassador for, Spread the Cheer USA. What up, though, family? And Spread the Cheer USA is a compilation and collection of content creators as well as just people who have hearts to use their platforms for good. And they go around like literally giving gifts at Christmas, giving food at Thanksgiving, helping families in need, doing the most good in communities all over this country. And I'm like, what if people got to know those creators, their favorite creators on a different level? What if we created a book? And guess what we did? Dun, 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 dun. We created a book. Shout out to the incredible authors, man. All 43 of us came together, told our stories, were very vulnerable in the Social Spark. And this is Igniting Change, stories from 43 social media creators on life, positivity, and making an impact. Listen, this was written for you because many of them have I said them. I ain't there yet, but we on the way. Many of them have millions and millions and millions of followers. But they didn't start that way. Nobody starts that way. So if you've been down and you've been discouraged and you don't feel like you have support, you don't feel like you have resources, you don't feel like you have what you need to become what you want to become in this life, let this book spark you. Let it be the inspiration you need to put forth the action so you can go get it in your own life. So check us out, man. Check out the Social Spark, because you can. Boom. Now, I would love to talk to you now about your story. We've been talking about this, and some of you are like, man, here we go. Why we got to talk about me? I'd rather you just tell a story about something that don't have nothing to do with me. I get it. Because you don't want to be on the hot seat. Because you know that I'm coming for you. You know that I'm about to hit you where it counts, not because I want to hit you or not because I'm violent, because you need the little extra kick to go and step into your absolute best life. And so when I think about this concept, the first thing that I really want to get into is like books in general, stories, books. You ever been reading a book and some of y'all like, I ain't read a book since 3rd grade. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But there's always these times in a book where like the book gets so good. And the last time I read a book, I'm like, man, I don't want to read no book. But then I got into it, and next thing you know, I got sucked into it, and it was so good I couldn't put it down. Y'all, some of y'all, where is my book fans at? Where the book talk community at? Come on, man, my book lovers. Say, let me know my book lovers in the building. Y'all know what I'm about to talk about. Because I remember being so engrossed in a book that like the story had me so captivated that I'm like going to meetings and appointments, and I'm like, the whole meeting, I'm like, all I hear is womp, 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 because I'm like, yeah, that's cool, fine and dandy, but I need to know what's about to happen in this story. So I get out of the meeting and I go right back to the book. We're at dinner with a group of friends and I'm in this book, man. But I ordered the food. As soon as I ordered the food, I'm in that book. I got it under the table trying to hide because I'm a little bit low-key shamed, because I'm like not really trying to be that guy, but at the same time, I really don't care because this is that good. That's how enthralled and engrossed I am in this story. And I get to the point and it's like the pages can't turn fast enough because that story is good. Now, guess what? Not every part of that story is good. Some of the reason I'm trying to hurry up and turn the page and get to the next part is because my anxiety is so high. My fear is so high because I don't know what's about to happen, and all I want to do is figure out and get to a solution. So I'm just ready to turn the page. And if we're honest, some of you are under the sound of my voice. That's where you are in your life right now. Anxiety is running amok in your mind and your heart because you don't know how the situation or the circumstance works out. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what happens next. But the difference is real life hit a little bit different than a story, because if things get too bad in that story, in a fairy tale, fictional, made up world, you know what I can do? To the left, I can put that book down, I can shut it, and I can keep it moving. But in real life, I can't do that. In real life, when the anxiety gets real high and the fear gets to a new height, a new level of fear, and I don't know how this works out for me, now I got to come face to face with the monster. Now I got to come face to face with this reality that I don't know how it works out. And so I get stuck. And that I can put it down. Or I can just hurry up. I can speed up the process. In real life, you can't do that. So then we find ourselves stuck, stagnant, and in this unfamiliar, unhappy, unfulfilled place. And if I'm on your street, let's say hello. If you are in this place, I want you to know that, first of all, it's okay. It's okay to not know which way is up sometimes. It's okay to not know what your next step should be. It's okay not to know what to do. It's okay to feel like I can't do nothing. I don't got no energy to do nothing. I have no juice. I don't got nothing left to give. I feel you. Give yourself grace to be in that space. That doesn't mean you're going to always be there. You won't always be there. But if you feel guilty and grief the entire time you're in that space, you're not giving yourself permission to heal. You're not giving yourself the mental capacity needed, the rest needed, the peace needed to proceed and to move forward. And so if you're in that place, I want you to know you came to the right place. It's time to turn the page. It's time for you to turn the page. Turn the page. So for the time remaining that we have, I really want to unpack these 4 little situations, right? Principles that can help you turn the page, right? Help you turn the page so that you can go live your best life. Now, the first one of these principles that I want to share with you to help you turn the page is to understand that your story matters. Your story matters. And I know you're like, man, okay, that's cool, fine and dandy. But the crazy thing is, if I wrote a fiction book that I was really excited about, this crazy story, and I put it in front of you and I believed it was going to go and do something amazing and run up some numbers, you will have no problem picking up that story and reading right through it and feeling like it matters because you love me, because you want to support me, because you believe in me. I thank you for that. I really appreciate you. But if I were to take the same book and put it in front of you and it was your own story, some of y'all wouldn't even open it. Oh my God, what? Ooh, snap, rewind. Some of y'all would not even open to the first page if you knew the story you were reading was your own. Because that's how little self-esteem you have. That's how low self-worth and self-love you have. Not because you don't actually love yourself, not because you don't want to love yourself, because somewhere along the way, somebody in your story mistreated you. They manipulated you. They abused you. They told you you weren't enough. They spit on you while you were down. They kicked you. And you started to believe the lies that they spewed into your mind. You started to believe the manipulation that you weren't worthy of love and good things and blessings and positivity. You started to buy the lies. I know, I bought them too for a long time until I didn't. I said, that's too expensive. I'm not buying that. If I told y'all right now, y'all could buy my watch. I got a dope watch. Now you could go get your own watch. You go get it, $700-800, get you a watch, cool. What if I told you you could have my watch, but I wanted $93,000 for it? You'd be like, why? Why would anyone in their right mind even think about buying this watch for $91,000? Ain't no diamonds hidden in it, I promise you. You can go get your own for less than $1,000. So why would you pay $93,000? That's too expensive, right? Ooh. So if that's the case, the lies that people have fed you about yourself, those might as well be $999,000, almost $1 million worth of expense. And you keep buying those lies that you can't afford. That's why you feel so stressed and strung out. That's why you feel so unworthy. That's why you feel so anxious. That's why you feel the way that you feel. It is because too expensive, fam. Stop buying the lies. It's killing you. And instead realize that your story matters. We are talking about your story, and you have a story. I guess first acknowledge that you have a story. It might not have been filled with sunshine and rainbows, blue skies and rainbows and your story may not have been filled with that, but your story still matters. Your story might have been filled with chaos and pain. It still matters. Your story might have been filled with drama and trauma. It still matters. It might have been filled with abuse, lies, manipulation. It still matters. Your story matters. So now this is time for you to imagine. Use your imagination. If you're watching this, you don't have to use your imagination. You can literally see me. I'm handing you a book. But the book I'm handing you is your story. And I want you to know that your story is worth reading. Your story is worth telling. Your story is worth sharing about. Share your story. Share it on social media. Who cares if they don't like it? Who cares if they don't support it? Who cares if they don't comment on it? Who cares what they think? You ain't doing it for them unless you are. And then that's the case. We got to have a different conversation about pride and ego, because it ain't for them. You are sharing your story for the person who needs it, because somebody needs it. Somebody needs the key to unlock the cage they've been trapped in, and you possess the key. If you saw me sitting right here in this beautiful framework, lights, camera, action, but I was trapped in a cage and you had the key, would you sit there and watch me suffer and think, well, he might not want my key because I'm not good enough? Oh, what? He might not want my key because I'm not smart enough. I'm not qualified enough to give him the key, even though I know I have the key. The key is in my hand, but I ain't going to give it to him because what if I'm not enough? What? Now, hopefully you can see the picture. How does that sound? Really? Does the person in the cage, they don't give a you know what, a good gosh darn. There you go. Look at that. Edited, censored. This is a family show. They don't care how qualified you are if you got a key that's going to let them out the cage. So now you got to get out of the way. Get out your own way and stop robbing people of the healing and hope they need and give them the key. Straight like that. And in doing so, you will be well on your way to you becoming who you want to become. The second principle I want to talk about is the one that this episode is named after. Once you realize I've given you a book now, you have a story to tell. Your story possesses the key to unlock somebody else's cage to their freedom. Now you got to turn the page. Turn the page. Why? Because some of y'all is in a very bad chapter right now. The story and the part of the story that you're in right now feels real bad. I've had a lot of conversations with people I care about, near and dear to me, over the course of the last couple of months, and they've been going through it. They've been going through life. They've been going through terrible things, horrible things, heartbreaking things. They've been going through it. And what I am saying to you is, I know many of you are probably going through it as well. Listen, if you're going through it as well, I want you to know you're not actually stuck. You just got to turn the page. But it's too bad. I don't even know if the page is worth turning, because if it's this bad right now, what if tomorrow is even worse than today? Ooh, that's a real fear. Well, shoot, you talking about turning the page. It's bad enough right now. What if it gets worse? You could play that game all day and night, and I can't promise you that it won't get worse before it gets better, but it always gets better. I can't tell you when. I cannot tell you how. But what I can promise you, as sure as I'm alive and as sure as you're alive, if you just keep living and you just keep going, it will get better. That's a promise. That's a guarantee. Sign, seal, deliver. What we don't know is the when or the how. But I can assure you it will get better. But what if it gets worse? What if it gets a lot better? It's going to get better. But what if tomorrow when you turn the page, it gets better immediately? I remember this one time, and I was in such a bind financially, and we were facing eviction, and we had 24 hours to come up with a whole lot more money than I could even begin to fathom. And I remember thinking this is how it ends. I'm about to be a failure as a man, as a young newlywed husband, nowhere to go lay his head, no family in sight. We about to get evicted and no way to get that money. And the next day, when I woke up, the day of the eviction, and my wife is looking at me like, are we going to have a place to live? And I'm like, I don't know, honestly. And y'all ever been so scared of what you were going to see that you just decided to avoid it? Number one, can I tell you, stop doing that? That don't make nothing better. I'm talking to myself too. Like, you feel a little bit of ailment in your body, but you don't want to go to the doctor because it's like, oh, what if I find out it's cancerous? Or what if I find out it's something? What if? Then they can fix it. Good. Go find out. Don't wait until it's too late. And that was me in this situation as well. And I waited till the very last minute, and I'm about to check the bank account because my wife is asking, are we going to have a place to lay our head? And I'm like, I don't know. But I was so afraid to look at it because I didn't want to know how bad it was. I thought, there was some stuff. I thought his count was going to be negative because it was just that season of life, man. I'm telling you, it was all bad. I got stories for days at the beginning of our marriage and my young adulthood and trying to break cycles of generational curses and flip the script and become something more. That was hard. So I'm not sitting here as a person that was born with a silver spoon and just had it all along. No, I hope when you hear me, you know that Some of y'all in the worst places, some of y'all not in the worst places, some of y'all in okay places. Wherever you are, I found myself there on that journey and have learned some ways to overcome. And that's what I'm here to share and give to you. That's why we do this. This ain't just so you can get a little bit of feel good. This ain't just so you can have a little bit of inspiration and motivation. This ain't just because I want you to love hearing my voice that much. No, this is because I got some things to give to you that will help you become that which you were meant to become. And so when I'm in that place, and I opened a bank account after being so afraid, not knowing what it was going to be like. And I rubbed my eyes twice because there was a number there and it was thousands with an S of dollars in my account. And I'm like, nah, I know something wrong. They done sent somebody money to my account and they need to fix the mistake right now because I ain't gonna have it to give back. So I'm calling the bank like, yo, y'all made a mistake. Y'all put some money in my account. You need to take it because if I spend it and you ask for it back, you just going to be out of luck because I ain't going to have it. And they said, no, there's no mistake. Looks like there was a deposit. A deposit? Who deposited money in my account? They said it was a deposit from Oklahoma Christian University. Now, this year that this happened was 2014. I graduated from Oklahoma Christian in 2011. This was 3 years later, fam. So I'm like, yeah, now they done made a mistake. Now let me call them and tell them, yo, y'all better take this money back because if I touch it, you're going to be out of luck when you ask for it back. So I called them and they connected me to the business office and I told them what happened and they said, oh yeah. It looks like we were just reconciling some books and this was just sitting on an account. And so, yeah, we processed the refund earlier this week. And I'm like, bro, what are the odds that this comes on the day that I'm about to be evicted? But I'm about to get real here, right in this moment. Because sometimes, can we be real? Come on, man, let's do it. I'm a Hamilton fan. Y'all know, can I be real a second? For just a millisecond? There's times where things get so bad and so daunting and we have no idea how they work out that we become tempted to throw in the towel. We become tempted to say, it's not even worth trying anymore because it's too much. We become tempted to just give up and say, I tried. I did my best, but I can't take it anymore. That season was one of those seasons for me because I'm like, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't win. I got a college degree and can't find a job. We getting evicted. Like, all this stuff. Paid over $100,000 for my education to have nothing to show for it. Couldn't get a job at the time. Sitting here looking at a newlywed wife with tears and fear in her heart, not being able to assure her that we gonna be all right. Felt like a failure as a man, a failure as a human. It felt like, what's the point, bro? You're never gonna get it right. Maybe your dad was right all those years. You're a bum. You're a failure. You never be anything successful. And that's where I was, and that's what I felt in that season. But I sit here overwhelmed with emotion because what if we could play that game? But the point is, I turned the page. I turned the page. And you know what happened on the new page? A bountiful blessing that changed the whole season and trajectory for everything that would happen next. Literally everything that happened next after that moment were the building blocks that led me to where I am right here, right now, today. The fact that I'm here doing this with you all started there. Turn the page. Because one bad chapter does not define your entire story. So if you've been in a bad chapter, maybe you had a couple bad chapters in a row. I be reading some books, man. Nobody read books like my wife. That girl read 100 books a year. I'm like, and they be like 300 and 400 and 500 page books. I'm like, how, Sway? She'd be like, okay, babe, don't talk to me this weekend. I just got a new book. Okay, cool. That's cool. I'll catch up on some work. And then Sunday I'll be like, yeah, so how was, what chapter you on? 4? She'd be like, no, I'm on the next book. Like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, it was too amazing. I couldn't stop. I'm on book 2 now in 3 days, 500 pages. What? She be turning that page, though. Turn the page. Gotta know. Turn the page. And I hope for you hear this and you become inspired because you just have to turn the page. But my point in telling you about all of those books that I've read and all the books she read is that sometimes there's multiple bad chapters in a row. It's not like one bad chapter and then all of them get good. No, sometimes it could be like 6 bad chapters in a row. Because some of y'all might be like, well, my chapter been bad long as I can remember. Yeah, that's okay. You still got to keep going because you turn the page. It's going to get greater later. It's going to get greater later. So just keep going and realize you're not defined. Don't matter what happened. Don't matter what they did to you. Don't matter what they said about you. None of that matters. What matters is that you keep pressing onward and upward. And so that leads me into number 3, this third thing to help you. And this one it's like, man, sort of rubber meets the road. And I'm not saying this to scare you, but I am saying this to light a little bit of a fire under you. And that is that tomorrow is not promised, fam. Tomorrow is not promised. And it is that realization that helps. Today is not promised. So you got to live your best life right now. You have to live your best life right now. Now, some of y'all hear that and you hear a song, living my best life. You hear that, you see it everywhere. So you like, okay, what does that mean? Or how can you live your best life with no money? Guess what? The best date I ever went on with my wife was a date when we ain't had no money. Creativity. Some of the most incredible experiences we've ever had as a family were times when we ain't have no resources and no money, but we used our minds to get creative and went do something good. We got this situation. We're saving up for something big as a family, so we weren't able to go take a crazy trip on spring break and do some crazy stuff with our kids. So you know what we did? Made up a custom scavenger hunt in the backyard. They said it was the greatest day ever. And all we did was use our minds, use our creativities, created a quality time experience for our children, and wrote down 50 things for them to go and collect. Gave them some big fancy Ziploc bags labeled and let them go scavenger hunt in the yard. And that meant everything to them. Don't tell me you don't have the resources. Don't tell me what you don't have, period. Like, you're like, well, I want to tell my story, but I don't know how to publish a book. People know how to publish a book. You can pay for that knowledge. You can pay me. I'll help you. I would. But if you don't have the money, because we're talking about not having resources, guess how I learned? YouTube University. And you know how much I paid for that education? It was free. Now, it cost me like 150 hours of my time. So you're going to have to give somewhere. But now people pay me so that they don't have to spend 150 hours researching how to publish a book. And I'm grateful for that. And so what I'm saying to you is you can't lean on like, well, I'm just going to keep living as a lower version of myself. I'm going to keep settling for as a lesser version of myself. I'm going to keep just making excuses and excusing my way out of purpose. I'm going to keep sitting here putting myself down. I'm going to keep being my own worst enemy. I'm going to keep tearing myself down, trying to beat them to the punch. I'm going to keep doing all the destructive things that don't get me where I'm trying to go. Meanwhile, thinking that one day, though, I'm gonna get my stuff together and I'm gonna go get it. Guess what? I hate to be a rude awakening. No, that's a lie. I'm happy to be a rude awakening to you. That later that you're waiting on is not promised to you. There is no such thing as later. It ain't no such thing as I'm gonna get myself together. When is right now, and now is all you have, and now is all that's promised to you. So you right now to put in a work, take the steps, and make it matter, because you don't get a do-over. You don't get a second chance. You don't get a second shot at this. All you got is right now. And so you got to live with that urgency. And some of y'all like, dang, bro, why you yelling at me? You already know why. Y'all been around. Some of y'all been around for 6 seasons. You know what it is. But if you're new here, I'm not yelling at you. But me and Death did the tango on a couple of occasions. And when you dance with Death, it changes you. It creates an urgency in you. I can't talk about something as big, meaningful, and significant as your life without giving you what I got and helping to light the fire in your soul, to do more, be more, live greater, and go make your dreams come true. And that leads me right here to my fourth and final point. And this one is not easy, but simple. Number 4, just keep going. Just keep going. How do you turn the page? Put one foot in front of the other. Put one foot in front of the other. Because you owe you. You owe it to yourself to see how the story ends. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to see the triumph? Guess what? Every story that I've ever read, they always end real good. But they go through some real bad stuff to get to the real good. I'll never forget the first time I watched the movie Pursuit of Happiness. And every movie has that one little bit of anxiety part that is like, dang, can we get past this and can I skip to the good part, right? We're going to skip to the good part. But that movie was like, is there going to be a good part? Dang, this whole movie, like however many hours. My man's down bad. It was just sad after sad after heartbreak after heartbreak after sad after sad. But if you watch that movie, then you know as well as I how that story's ending. He became one of the wealthiest human beings in the history of America. After the most impoverished and humble beginning. But it's because he kept going that he found out. He owed it to himself and to his loved ones to see what happened. And you know who else owes who? You owe you. Who owes who? You owe you. You owe it to yourself to see. Don't you want to know how it ends? Every story we've ever read turns out good. I ain't never read a story that had a horrible ending. There's been some that had some questionable endings, but for the most part, they end well. But you had to keep going through the story to get there to see. So what about you? What about you? How does it end? How does it end? And you know what's this is an asterisk. I can't say that word. How people try to say Worcestershire. Worcestershire? Did I say that? Ooh, look at me. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll like cotton nail. I was made for, okay, that's too much. But not only do you need to keep going because you owe it to yourself to see how the story ends, the best part of this whole equation is that you're the author of this story. So not only do you got to keep going to see how it ends, you have a say in how it ends because of the way you write the story. You know how you write the story? It's how you show up and live your life. You know how you write the story? It's the energy and effort in which you give to your own mind, soul, body, heart, and your dreams. You know how you write the story? It's getting up every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter how it looks, and putting one foot in front of the other. You know how you write the story? It's by realizing that everything you've ever been through serves a mission and a purpose, and none of it was to break you, but to build you so that you have the strength that you need. When you learn that you have the pen in your hand, then you get to influence how the story ends, then you gotta just do it. Why would you not put your energy into it? Because you owe you. And you owe that person that's sitting in that cage waiting on the key. You owe them the key to set them free. You owe you the best possible version of your life, and the only way you're gonna get it is if you quit making excuses, quit crying about the stuff you cannot control, put that pen to pad and go write the life that you want to live. Put it on paper, set some goals, learn some things, but whatever you do, take intentional action every single day, turning the page, turning the page, turning the page until you get to the very end of your most triumphant story. Because you